So a while back I reviewed this 187 scale Herpa branded Porsche 959. It's amazingly detailed for something that's 187 scale. It's all plastic, and so that's why it has a relatively tight panel gap here. I'll just quickly show you guys. See that panel gap? It's not too wide because it's plastic on plastic, but they have the little gimmick of the engine. But I gotta tell you, this little 187 engine looks better than a lot of 164 scale engines. Because Herpa is a scale model company. They're not a toy company. So, anyways, it's a nice model and all. Got a multicolor interior. But amazingly, it has these little plastic turn signals. You know, that's not paint. Those are actually plastic lenses. So again, really good detail from this German brand Herpa. Or Erpa, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. But, you know, nowadays I'm collecting 164 scale, and I consider the Porsche 959 to be one of the greatest cars of history. It was like the forefather to today's hypercars. And the reason being, it was the first sports car with all-wheel drive. And then, you know, later on, just 911 turbos had all-wheel drive. Now we got Bugattis and Lambos with all-wheel drive. It had aluminum and aramid or Kevlar composite for body panels. It had a twin turbocharged 2.8 liter, making 440 plus horsepower. It was considered the fastest street legal vehicle of its day, and that day spanned between 1986 and 1993. And it was designed originally as a Group B rally car, and then later they sold them for regular customers to buy because they had to have homologation. I think they had to make like 200 cars in order to go racing. I might be wrong, please correct me. But anyways, they ended up making around 340 of them, and they're sold for around $225,000, which according to Wikipedia is half the cost of what it cost Porsche to build. So Porsche lost money making these things, which is weird. Maybe because back then no one would ever conceive of paying 225 grand for a car. But nowadays, you can pretty much ask anything you want, and there are rich enough people to buy it. So that's interesting financial information, I guess. So, anyways, it also had a automatic ride height adjustment system, and you know that's pretty common on cars, supercars these days. And for its day, a relatively low drag coefficient of 0.31. And so that's what allowed it to get up to such high speeds of almost 200 miles per hour. I guess 197 miles per hour was the recorded time. Okay, so you've seen this model now spinning around. This is a Kyosho brand. And I waited 7 months to buy this because in photographs it looks a little wonky. And I gotta tell you, it does look a little bit wonky. Mainly it's the gap. You can see the tire gap to the bottom of the fender is huge. It almost looks like the Dakar Rally version, which is suspension height. But, you know, looking at the photos behind, let's get this out of the way now. Looking at these photos, you know, I'm just used to seeing a sports car that doesn't look like it's going to go rally racing. Now, is it possible a real 959 could it be actually set this high up? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe just to clear like speed bumps or something. Or maybe when the car is parked, it just lowers itself. So that's but still, for me, the issue with this model is the ride height. It's looking a bit off. But looking past that, it doesn't look too bad. The little side vents are there, you know, well, most of the details do seem to match up decently. Let's take a look at the back view here. Yeah, those vents again. The wing is the main issue. This rear wing, it's too squished. It's not high up enough. It might be because the plastic itself had to be molded a certain thickness. But looking at the air gap between the bottom of the wing and the top of the engine cover, it's just, you know, it's way too tight on this Kyosho model. So that's the second thing that makes it look a little bit messed up, I think. It is. Alright, well, anyways. Let's get the good old pick out and see what else we can see that's good or bad. The actual wheels don't look so bad. You know, they look like the wheels in the photograph. Unfortunately, we've got some paint rash going on here. I think this might be from the first Porsche collection, so it's not as good as their later offerings. We got some black paint on this door handle that sticks out. That seems pretty accurate. There's black paint around the window molding. Yeah, the front end, now this does look nice. I mean, plastic lights. This is painted, but the Porsche crest seems to be a decent size, doesn't look too big. I'm gonna guess that's the fuel filler door, but please let me know if I'm mistaken. I am guessing here. Raised painted black wiper blade. Okay, this side we got some orange on the marker there that's protruding as well. It's nice to see a little black paint in that vent. It's just blanked off though, blanked off casting. And then there's black paint in these little side gills here, side vents here. I don't know what's going on. I'm guessing the radiators are here. I can't remember. This car's so old now. I remember reading about this as a kid, and in fact, when I was in high school, there was an exotic car dealer in my town, and one of these was parked in the outside. I remember I was riding my bicycle and with my brother and my friend, and we just stopped and we looked at this thing for like a good 10 minutes, and we're like, whoa, that thing's cool. I think it was smaller than I thought it would have been. It wasn't a very large car, from what I recall. Okay, yeah, we got some black here. This is a separate, separate plastic piece, just based on the sound. And then this must be a separate plastic piece too. From the top it doesn't look so bad, but again, not enough air passing there. So again, this is an early Kyosho release. They were still learning, but it would have been nice if this was a little bit thinner plastic. I actually do think the height of the top of the wing might actually be accurate. It's just that, you know, the thickness of the wing really makes it look a little bit weird. Okay, well, we do have a nice transparent tail light here, and it actually is orange or yellow on the side markers, and then red here. And then, let's see here, we got some black paint here for the vent, and then the exhaust tips as well. So that seems relatively accurate. There should be a little line going through those, but I guess at this small of a scale they couldn't pull it off, or chose not to. Well, I think they could have pulled it off, because see how thin these lines are? When I look at the real photograph, this silver, I think it could have been made so it goes all the way across, so it would have given more space for these recesses, and then they could have maybe had the silver line through a few of those. Alright, I'm being nitpicky, guys. Alright, bottom here, some details, but it's press fit together, so I think I'm gonna actually try to wiggle one of the wheels off on each side, pull it out. I'm gonna drill the hole a little higher, and then I'm gonna lower the stance of this thing. So in fact, why don't you give me a minute while I do that. Okay, I did lower the ride height. I think it looks a lot better now. This side might be even lower. Yeah, it is. I could always drill out the hole later, but I discovered a new problem that's never occurred to me before. This tire literally snapped. The rubber is so old, it was hard, and the way this thing is designed, it snapped off as I was trying to take it off. So be mindful of that, you know, even this fake rubber stuff, it gets hard and brittle. So luckily I've been ordering some wheel kits online, and I might as well show you this now. This is by CM Model. I think this brand actually makes full 1/64 scale cars. And it was in a plastic bag, but I took it all out. And it's got these rims, and you put in the wheel, and then there's no exposed axles, and the front tire from this little CM's box seems to work pretty well, at least from the side view, for the rear tire of this Kyosho. Granted, the treads still look a little messed up here, but I'm going to display it like that, right? So I managed to save this model. So, okay, I'm a lot happier that, I'm really happy that I saved it. So I guess it's a decent model. It's it's definitely not great by today's standards, but I'm pretty sure this is the nicest 1/64 scale 959 out there. And I really wish some premium brand would come along and actually make it better, like a resin brand, you know, for a lot of money. I'm okay with that because no diecast brand is gonna simulate this wing with a thin piece of plastic, I don't think. Maybe it's possible. I guess anything's possible, but if it was a resin company, this wing would definitely be much thinner, and I think it would look more like the real car. Okay, so let's pull out that solar thing again and compare it to a couple other Porsches that I have. So this was considered, I think, Porsche's first Halo vehicle. Correct me if I'm wrong. Halo road vehicle, at least. And then I think the second one was the Carrera GT, and so this one is done by Kyosho, and it is definitely much better. Now see, look how thin the rear wing is on this one. This is still riveted together, so maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but something about the overall quality of this Carrera GT just seems more precise than the 959. So I just feel like it's a better designed model, all in all. I might be wrong. I mean, the side mirrors do look a little blobby, but I mean, just the printing of that engine cover and you know, looking at the canopy here, it just seems like this plastic here of the canopy is much thinner than that plastic there of that wing, right? So, okay. And then I think the third Porsche Halo road car is the 918 Spider, and so this is done by Schuko. Okay, let's let that spin. The Schuko's alright. The wheels aren't as crisp as I think they should be for such a modern casting. But let's look at the wing again. Now Schuko, see, look how thin this wing is. So I guess a diecast brand could pull this off nicely if you know, they really cared about the model. Because if Schuko can do this with this little plastic wing here, this is the thickness I wanted to see back on this one. Kyosho, for some reason, doesn't seem to really care about 1/64 scale. Their website doesn't really indicate much progress there. I don't really see any new releases coming out too often or ever. So someone else is going to take up the reins and make a 959, a nice one. Okay, well, anyways, for until that day happens, I guess this is going to have to do for me. And if you like the 959, it'll probably have to do for you as well, because, as I say, I don't know of a better one, unless you jump to a different scale. Maybe there's like a 1/43 that's super nice. I don't know, but we'll go with this for now. Alright, well, I appreciate you watching. Just be mindful that old tires do crack, and I'll see you in the next Porsche review. Thanks.